Straight No Chaser, take two.
Oh.
Hello, and welcome to Straight No Chaser. You already know it. I am Dr. Julius Bailey, and this show is live on the beautiful and picturesque campus of Wittenberg University in Springfield, Ohio. I am a professor of philosophy and African American studies here at WIT. I direct our pre-law program and justice law and public policy. Listen, I am a Dr. Bailey. They call me doctor, but it's the top academic degree possible. Been holding it down for 21 years. I love being a professor. I'm the author of 5 academic books, 1 memoir. Check me out at drjuliusbailey.com for access to all my work. If this is your first time here, we are a 1-hour talk show that brings you news and culture and knowledge that affects Black folk. We are here for a few more episodes, and after that, you will determine its fate. That's why I say Straight No Chaser with Dr. Bailey. It is my show, but it is your show. It is our show. Do me a favor right now. Please start a watch party, share this broadcast, like the page. We are also live on YouTube, so subscribe if you don't mind to the show. We are here today. If you have your notes right now, I am going to just sort of be a little professorial for a minute. Just kind of get us moving. You all know my co-host, Ms. Tisa. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm
Good morning. We're trying to make it happen.
We're making it.
We're going to make it happen. The content itself is going to make it happen. So that's why I'm excited. But look, I'm going to be a little professorial with you for a minute. Take two on this thing, right? So, listen, the 20th century of leadership has ushered in great progress, right? We've seen the ERA movement, the suffrage movement, LGBTQ type of protections through gay rights. And we know certainly that information and those movements are fundamental for minoritized folk.
Yes.
We've seen people like W.E.B. Du Bois and Roy Wilkins, Jane Addams, A. Philip Randolph, Dorothy Height, right? Thurgood Marshall, Bayard Rustin, right? All these powerful folk in mid-century. And we're certainly grateful for them. We're grateful for Nelson Mandela, right? We're grateful for Martin and Malcolm and Medgar, right? We're grateful for Rosa and Fannie Lou and Ella Baker, Muhammad Ali, Jackie Robinson, Kareem. I mean, folk are still to this day are lauding feminists like Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem. And we have to be grateful for people like Cesar Chavez and Harvey Milk. And of course, Bishop Desmond Tutu. The 20th century has been a powerful century when it comes to leadership. In my life, I've had my grandfather, the late Reverend Emmanuel Hoskins, who influenced me, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Michael Flager in Chicago, all those who taught me how to serve through love. But you know what, Tisa, as we said before, this 21st century is a little bit different.
Very much so.
These young folk on fire.
They're ready.
They're ready. And they're about to bust leadership wide open, right? These Twitter fingers that they're using, I mean, they've become virtual sort of triggers, for real, right? And they're ready to shoot down injustice. They're ready to mobilize and organize folk around issues with expanding LGBTQ initiatives. They're engaging with trans folk. They're engaging with undocumented workers. They're engaging in conversations around people of color, obviously, and even the Muslim communities, right? They're organizing around that. And so we're just excited today to have people like that in our communities who are doing the work. And today is no different. Our guests today are, they're here to push and push and push. And so our first guest is Reverend Courtney Carson, and he is an elected school board member in Decatur, Illinois. He is the executive director for external affairs at Richland Community College, He is also, I mean, he convenes a lot of conversations in Illinois, and he is a husband, he is a father, he is an all-around good guy. He think he a basketball player though, you know. He kind of short, you know. He think he get his Chris Paul game on, you know what I'm saying? But the reality is that we're happy to welcome to Straight No Chaser the Reverend Courtney Carson. How you doing, brother?
I'm blessed just like yourself, man. Extremely peaceful, man. Just like you. Thank you so much for having me on your show, man. How are you?
Man, hey, listen, you know we had a little technical difficulties about 10 minutes ago, but I feel all right. You know, what God is involved in is never going to fail. Isn't that right?
Never.
Amen.
So, man, look, we're just going to jump right into it, man. We appreciate you and all you do. The one thing, you know, I just have to do, right? I mean, you know, when I think of you, I think of you at 17 when I first met you, and I think of the energy and the way God has brought you. And if in fact this was Sunday, we'll create a testimony service. You know, I believe I'll testify while I have a chance, and I gotta think. So, man, look, you know, your life, man, as you look back over your life, and as you think things over, you know, what is your testimony? Who was Courtney Carson, and who is he now?
Oh man, thank you so much for the question. I hope that I'm serving God and He is pleased with me right now. A lot of my life I've been utilized as a signpost of hope for the disenfranchised and those who are seemingly the least, the left out, and the lost. And that's been my work a long time ago when I met you. And I want to say thank you so much for all that you do today and who you were for me then and who you are for me today. And so thank you so much for that. I remember back in the day when you came along, it was my first time meeting an educated Black man, spoke so well and led with such conviction. And I remember getting into your Grand Dam, I believe it was, listening to some hip hop music. And I said, wait a minute. I thought, I'm like, he a preacher, but he listen to hip hop. So, okay, there's a message somewhere in there.
There's a message somewhere.
You showed me how to be extremely true to thyself and one with thyself and just real and true to who God called you to be, man. And you were able to look past the fact that I was a 4-year freshman at that particular point in time and see a future in me. So thank you so much for that level of encouragement. You look past the fact that I was from the hood, you know? And as a matter of fact, I like to say I'm not even necessarily from the hood. I'm from a jungle, a project called Greenwood. You know, at least in the hood, you can run across the street. In Greenwood, I was confined by project walls. You know, there was no place to go. I was the youngest boy of 5 siblings. My sister, they had their fathers. Their fathers claimed them, right? Their fathers took care of them. My brothers, their father claimed them and their fathers took care of them. But my father didn't claim me. You know, and I had to deal with that psychologically. All I had was my mama, right? And she worked 2 jobs, you know, but you looked at me as if I was just a normal child. And I thought to myself, like, my God, who is this person? And then when Jesse Jackson came along, he looked at me the same way. He looked past the fact and the idea that, you know, at the age of 7, I was indoctrinated into a social club or a gang called Black Stone. You know, I shot at one of my good friends at the age of 11. By the time I was 12, I was selling cocaine. You know, I had my first child at 15 and my second child at 18. And then the same year I was expelled again as a 4-year freshman, right, for 2 years. And the courts gave us or tried to give us 2 felony mob action charges.
Yes,
that
they
is
did.
literally the recipe to the prison or school to prison pipeline. You expel a person for 2 years and then you give them 2 felony mob action charges. What is he supposed to do? You know?
Right.
So through all of my struggle as an adolescent, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, man. I thought I was doing right until I was literally exposed for doing wrong. And it took some good men who, as you were speaking about, Dr. King and Reverend Jesse Jackson, and include yourself in that, man, because you all are you have a different kind of ministry, because it seems that you're intentional, and you understand and understood, those in the past understood their pastoral call as social justice ministers, you know, uh, and that's not everyone's, although it was Jesus.
Sure was Jesus.
You know,
Some of them evangelicals act like it wasn't, but it sure was Jesus. I don't know what Bible they're reading, but that's a whole different conversation.
So,
but look, man, thank you for those words, man. Look, you know, I've watched you, man, and I've watched you as you decided that you were, you know, not going to let your past define your future. You went on to college. You went on to Aurora. You were very engaged as a student. After graduating, you then went back into your community and started doing good work. As I mentioned in the intro, you even ended up running for school board, the same school board that threw you out for 2 years. That's I mean that's a different kind of Jesus he operates on. But you know, the thing is, though, you know, you work with various organizations, including the Urban League and, you know, NAACP, things like that. You know, but as we know, right? Although, and especially many of us church folk, but even outside of church folk, you know, we talk about the God of second chances. We talk about, you know, people who can reclaim themselves, right? But we also know, Courtney, that people still throw stones at you, man. We also know that even as you do good work, you still have, you know, things fired at you. And so what I find fascinating when I watch you and when I watch you work is your ability to sort of stare down criticism, whether they come inside the community, outside the community, and keep focused on the work, right? You are the kind of young leader that many don't have, but especially that has a sort of an older, thick skin, right? Because you know what your purpose is. And so I just got to ask you, like, where does this spirit of temperance, where does this thick skinness, where does your focus to do the work come from?
oh man, that's easy. Christ. You know, I trust Christ. He said, you'll be persecuted for my sake. And as long as I keep him as the standard, and realizing his mandates as it relates to the poor, the hungry, and the oppressed, that's my main mission. And so I keep the main thing. And then I listen to my leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who says that we can't be afraid to do the soul work. He says that a city unafraid to do the soul work is one that is correcting the path towards betterment. And so I think that's my ontological shift, man, is I pay close attention to my leadership, and I know whose I am and the reason why I'm doing this particular work. And sometimes it doesn't look as successful as other individuals may look at it, but I'm not enslaved to public perception. You know,
come on now.
I have to do this particular work, and I'm not. And if you know your success is defined as being well adjusted to injustice and well adapted to indifference, then we don't want successful leaders.
We don't want.
We want great leaders who love the people enough and respect the people enough to be unbought, unbound, unafraid, and unintimidated to tell the truth and speak on truth, even if that truth is targeted to people who look like you. Somebody got to start and be willing enough to tell the truth, man. What I love about Jesus is that he wasn't persecuted for singing and praying, but for fighting the objective conditions that hurt, harm, and hinder the human experience. The woman and the children that's hungry in the streets, the falsely arrested and the condemned, the beggars beaten and shunned, the families mirrored in poverty, that with their backs against the wall. That's who we fought for. But somebody don't like when you fight for that population, because somebody trying to keep that population subservient so that they can continue to bankroll off their poverty. And so I just believe, yeah, see, you done started some. Here it comes.
I know, right? I'm like, I don't know what to do, to shout, to drink. I don't know what to do. Go ahead, though.
My life's work before leaving this godforsaken earth is to be actively involved And I'm saying it slow because people need to understand, people who's watching, we have to and must be actively involved in bettering the lives of others, because we all work in this atmosphere, this arena, and on this platform, in the in the, in the area of tension and promise, where the different dimensions of the human experience meet and shape one another. What are we doing, honestly, what are we doing to not just produce a level of unity, because that's key, and I believe, I think my brother, Dr. or the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that hasn't been utilized, and it's more powerful than the atomic bomb, and it is. We came together, watch this, we came together to march for George Floyd. We even did that in the city of Decatur on a Saturday. But then on Monday, we allowed companies to have a $35 million project and only give $930,000 of that money to minority business enterprise. I had to fight that as a school board member. As a black man, I couldn't sit back and say, wait a minute, y'all still putting y'all knees on our necks, right? Because today, if we're trying to help poor people, and when you do help those on the bottom, that which is on top rise as well. But if we're trying to help poor people, and we're trying to get necks off our knees off our necks, it must be about economic stability, that which drives generational wealth. Or we'll always have a poor class, and somebody will always get rich off of our people. So it's my purpose through all the programs that I run at Richland Community College, my position on the school board. I have a multifaceted approach to this thing. I'm deeply rooted in it for the betterment of our people, and not just African-American people, but all people, because nobody's liberated until the so-called Negro is liberated. So with the programs at Richland Community College, young people coming in, if they, whether they're privileged or poor, right? They come in, take classes, get 6 certifications. And after that, they get the certifications. We make 90% of those individuals go on to employment within a week of their graduation. Now watch this. We pay people $10 an hour, 40 hours a week to get educated. And then they are able to interview with 12 different companies on the same day, whether it's in manufacturing or construction at Richland Community College. We've had the greatest level of CDL truck drivers among African-American people. We had a 100 buy-in orientation. So we're doing all of this work to make sure that we create a level of economic stability for our community, because we understand that, man, in order to not just bridge gaps, not just clean up our community, our people need jobs.
Right.
People come to me every day like, what are we going to do in the city? Why is so much violence? Why is so much hustling going on? And we got to give them some jobs, give them something to do, allow them to find their niche.
No, that's real, man. That's rich stuff. You said you want to...
I did. So, good morning, Reverend Carson.
Amen. Good morning, sis.
Good. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. So, as you were speaking, I heard that scripture in John chapter 10, and I'm not going to say it verbatimly, but in the end of that chapter, they went to persecute Jesus. And Jesus said, well, for which of these good works do you persecute me for? And they said, we don't persecute you for these good works. We persecute you because you say that you're God. And he said, no, I didn't say that I was God. I said that I was a God. If I do not the works of my Father, then whom am I? With that being shared, can you share with us maybe 1 or 2 instances where you feel where you have been persecuted because you are doing the works of your Father?
Oh my sis, I'm gonna be totally honest with you. And I will share that. I want to piggyback off one thing that I have not heard in a long time when I'm being introduced wherever I am. The highlight of me being a father and a husband. That first work is what ultimately is going to get me into heaven. Amen. Because he said, if you don't take care of your house first, then you'll be infidel. We got a lot of individuals who become successful at the job, amen, become extremely popular in the community, and and extremely religious in the church, and they on their way to hell because they're not taking
Stop it.
consideration of their first work. Amen. They're not taking care of their homes. Amen. So I think that because I've been persecuted and talked about, ridiculed a whole heck of a lot because of who I'm married to. Amen. When they find out my wife is a Caucasian woman, they say, "Oh my God, we can't believe you. You're a hypocrite. We don't like you. You're a sellout," and all those things. But I just feel like God has blessed me with a beautiful woman who understands me, who take care of my kids. And and the reason why I had to answer the question in that fashion is because there's a huge misconception when it comes to who a man is married to and the work that he does, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, so I think that's one. It doesn't bother me, but however, I hear other people say that so-and-so said. They'll never tell me that because, well, Dr. Bailey, you know my past.
I know.
And Dr. Bailey mentioned me being a basketball player who I feel like I was David, stopping down Goliath when I played basketball. I'm short, but I'm a giant, amen. But however, I am an undefeated boxer as well.
Undefeated. I know that's right.
You failed to mention that part.
I know that's right, brother. And I do want to say that you have a wonderful family, and certainly I love your wife. She's a great, she's a woman of God, right? And so that's first and foremost. I'm sure it'll help sustain the household, right? She loves God the way you love God, and so that is important. And your sons and your daughter. I mean, you just have a great family, and I thank you for that. So look, man,
It's about unity, And typically, they have the same, and I'm not making an excuse for any Caucasian woman, but the truth be told, they have the same civil rights, not same civil rights struggle, but I mean, they too go to bed at night and wake up and question if their right to vote will be revoked. White women, black women, black men, we don't have a fundamental right to vote. Let's be clear.
And that's the sad thing about the death. I mean, obviously, we know nationally, that John Lewis died, and that Voting Rights Act is still on the Congress floor, right? And hasn't been reenacted. And so that's a very important piece. So look, man, we know what you've done. We know all that you have accomplished. We know the work that you do on a daily basis. I do want to say big ups to the voice that you gave on the day after the George Floyd march. I didn't know about that deal, but we certainly want to keep our pressure on our leadership, who sort of make, sort of in one voice they say Black Lives Matter. Now the other voice, they don't do anything to sustain and uplift Black people, right? Don't double talk me,
Right.
Invest in these communities, right? Anyway, but that's what Reverend Carson's talking about. But listen, brother, so look, we've done all this, man. You're still under 40, man. You're the reason why we have this show today. What's next for you, man? I don't want you to go too far in advance, man, but what are you thinking about? What does the future have for you if God willing, you live another 10, 20 years?
Thanks for the question, man. I just believe that it's been prophesied that I have a gift in politics. I'm not saying that's where I'll land. I know that I like to look at the policy a whole heck of a lot. So my spiritual work and my practical work is in such a kind of harmony that it's unexplainable. And so I want to continue to definitely make policy make sense for all people in a real sense. When you really take a deep look at who we are as Americans, and I believe the way we look at America is how we see America as how we will act as Americans. But there is Thomas Jefferson did say that he coined that immortal declaration that all men are created equal, right? And if you know, if I was to raise him up, I would ask him, if that's the case, then, you know, why do we need a Civil Rights Act between us to govern us?
All these different times, right.
Why is it that I need a 13th Amendment to be human? Why is it that I need a 14th Amendment to be protected? Why is it that I need a 15th Amendment for my right to vote? You told me that all men are created equal. If I would ask them, then why is it that I need a piece of paper? So I want to continue to make policy make sense for everybody, right? I'm doing the ministry work. God has gotten me into that. And if anybody ever just wanted to be a preacher, you shouldn't want to do that. It's not anything people want to do.
No, I know
my
that.
sister said, she said, you've been persecuted for some stuff. A lot of times we're persecuted because we got an REV in front of our name.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the funny thing is too about being an elected official. Now people try to take your good work and act as if it's policy, like you haven't been doing this for 20 years. Right. So every time you show up, it's like, is this a political moment for you? No. I've been caring about
I've been here. Right.
Forever,
You've been here. Hey, you was doing that work when you was cutting hair in that small little building.
We've been doing this level of educating people for a long time. So
right, man. That's real talk, man. Listen, I'm gonna be watching you. You know I got your back. You know, there's some stuff brewing in my life I might need to lean on with you for. You know, God is doing great things around all of us young folk. Well, I'm not as young as you, but I'm still young. I ain't gonna let folk call me old. I ain't 50. You know what I'm saying? But listen, brother, you know, however I can help you as usual. I mean, I'm always with you. I'm always gonna be with you. I'm always gonna support you publicly, privately, no matter if we're talking, you know, over there on Marietta Street or we're talking about in Washington, D.C. Right? I got you, brother. I got you. I love you. I love your mom. I love your sisters and brothers. I love your family. You know, we had your cousin on a few weeks ago. AD was on here. Yeah.
He's so eloquent.
Ain't he? I wish I could take credit for all of it, but I can't. You know what I'm saying?
I remember, you know, I was there. I saw you mentor that man into who he is today. I saw that. Yeah. And sorry, I'm saying it publicly, but I was there. I witnessed that. You were a great mentor for AD. A great mentor.
Thank you.
Your relationship with AD reminds me of my relationship with Reverend Jackson.
Right.
Although
I
bug Reverend Jackson every day.
I know you do. Listen, brother, thank you. I meant to tell you, man, I'm gonna need a blue tie, man. I know you got all the tie games, man. So when I come in town, I'm gonna need you to gift me a blue tie. Can you give me one?
I got you.
All right, I need a blue one.
I'm supposed to have a tie on right now. You know, if I give you that tie, I got to double Windsor that thing. If I got to tie the knot for you, is that all right? Can we?
You got to tie for me because you know I don't know how to do it. I mean, there's a YouTube for that, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
Thank you, brother. I love you, man. Take care.
Love you back. God bless you all.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Well, since he's gone now, we can drink to that. You know what I'm saying? He has some stuff talking nasty stuff. I mean, when I tell you that young man is on fire.
He is on fire.
And the reason when you know people are making a difference is because they piss off everybody.
Right.
I mean, they piss off folk who knew him when he was young.
Right.
Piss off folk who look like him. Piss off folk who don't look like him. Right. That's why I love the way he brought it into his spiritual life and said, this is something that was ordained by God. And you re-articulated that. And that is fundamentally important. So when I think of that, brother, you know, I'm just like, man, listen, this is what the future of leadership is.
Yes.
This, and especially the servant leadership, right? Who are there to work on behalf of people, unafraid, unintimidated, unbossed, right? Unapologetic. He gave all those transformative statements, right? Ready to do it. And so, listen, you know, we're going to always sort of here, Straight No Chaser, we're going to always sort of support young leadership and young people who are doing great things. We have another one that's coming up here. Are we ready for it?
Not yet.
Okay, so we have another one that's coming up soon, and she's doing phenomenal work as well. And I know here in Springfield, right, we have a couple folks that's coming up tomorrow, on Friday. We have a special Friday show those who are listening, we have a special Friday show where we'll also be talking to young leaders.
Yes. So that's Asia.
Yeah, Asia Rose Gibbs,
Dorian Hunter,
uh-huh,
Henry Alexander.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. They'll be on a Wednesday, and so those of you in the Springfield, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio area, you know those names. Please make sure you are here. Again, you just witnessed a phenomenal first interview with Reverend Courtney Carson of Illinois, school board member, external affairs vice president, a director at Graceland Community College, all-around community servant. And so now we are getting ready to move a little bit east, I guess, from Illinois to our hometown here in Ohio, our home state here in Ohio. We're a little bit further east as well, right? Going to Columbus, Ohio. And so, our next dynamic guest, are we ready for it?
Yeah.
Great. Our next dynamic guest, I'll just go to it. We late anyway. I don't want to get all emotional again. But our next dynamic guest, she is a political operative, right? She is an author of a book. Her name of the book is "Girl, You Can Do It," or you can do this, right? Say, "Girl, you can do this because I did," right? Which I did buy, right? I did read. I gifted it to our sister Zori. You know Zori.
I did.
Yeah, I gifted it to Zori. And so shout out to Zori. Zori said, I don't never give her a shout out on the show. And that's probably because she don't do nothing for the show. But anyway, we don't give her a shout out because she did read this book by the author that we have here. And she's one of her, she's on her mentorship line. So listen, we have, she is like an author. She's also a magnanimous. Actually, a middle name start with an M. It may mean magnanimous.
It just might.
It just might, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, coming to Straight No Chaser, author, political operative, motivational speaker, all-around wonderful woman, Miss Latina M for Magnificent, M for Magnanimous Humphreys. How you doing, sister?
I am blessed. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I certainly appreciate it.
Oh, we're just on fire today. When I'm around, energetic, well-intentioned, heartfelt leadership, no matter where it is, it fires me up because it just reminds me of what America can be.
Right.
And when we stop thinking about, again, I love our older generation. I respect them. But sometimes they get too comfortable, and it's time to move over, and I think that when I think about the work that you do, Sister Latina, I think about the future of our generation. And so it was your book, The Girl You Can Do This book, that, I just want to know, when you wrote that book, what were you thinking about? Were there some experiences with previous mentors that had you to write this book, that you wanted to be a mentor to someone else? What is it about that book that you wanted to share to especially young women about courage and leadership?
Yeah, so thank you so much for that question, Dr. Bailey. I certainly appreciate it. And that is my dog in the background, so I'm sorry about that. But I wrote the book with the intention to inspire other people. My journey has not been like, a lot of other women who are in these spaces. I started off in politics or social service or however you want to say it by driving back and forth to Flint, Michigan. And that has spiraled into a book, and that spiraled into running organizations. But I guess I wrote the book because so many women have asked, how did you get here? How did you do this? How, all of these things. And so I said, you know what? So many people want to know, and I'll just put it in a book, and whoever buys, great. But I've seen that it is done really well. And so it talks about personal aspirations, professional, time management, and financial. So I go over everything. I only talk about my own experiences. I don't talk about anything that I do not know or anything that I have not done. And so it's been an inspiration. It's helped a lot of women, but I wrote it being asked so much, how did you become who you became.
Right.
And a lot of times people know my background. I come from the Near East Side of Columbus. That's the Mount Vernon, Atchison area. It's pretty rough. And so when people know that and they see how far I've come, they're like, how did you do this? And so I put it all in a book.
And that's important, right? I mean, it's important because, we model what we shouldn't model. As I tell my daughter, we shouldn't model that which we want to be, right? And so, there is a sense to which, and of course, we know in certain communities, we don't have that much access to the type of people which we want to be. But as you said, Sister Latina, when we can put in a book, now we have the benefit, obviously, of social media. We can, go on a Zoom call. We can have a conversation, being able to share that, right? I mean, that is what I love about you. You are a gifter. You are a sharer. You want to make sure that whatever it is that God has blessed you with, that you want to give it out to someone else, because we know that our blessings come in sowing, right? And so that is the type of leader that you are. And so one of the reviews that I got from the book, from Zori, was that, and she got in your workshop, was that, you seem to have spoke directly to her, right? And I've, talked to a couple people that I saw on the internet who have spoken about your book, and they've all said that, you speak to them. And again, and they're different, Zori is an accountant, you got other folk in politics, different type of areas. How do you find a way to speak to all these different sort of strains of life, but yet with the same message?
That's a really great question. And honestly, it's being authentic. There's no other way for me to put it, any way for me to slice it is really, truly being authentic. And really being open and being honest about my journey and saying, hey, look, I was serving communities and I only had $6 in my bank account. It's saying, I really struggle with depression. I really struggle with anxiety and just being open and honest. I think a lot of times when people who want to become leaders or to empower women, they feel as if they have to be perfect. And I don't come from that lens. I come as I am. Because I know that if I am authentically me, I can reach the authenticity inside of you, right?
Hold that thought. We got to drink to that. If you're authentically you can reach the authenticity of others.
Right, absolutely. And so that is just really how that happened. Is just being exactly who I am and being honest and transparent about my journey. It has not been easy, and the further I go, it seems that it won't get easier.
I know that's right.
But just being myself is how I was able to talk to many different audiences, and it's blown my mind, honestly, as well.
Right. DC?
So you might want to write a second book, sis. Instead of it being called "Girl, You Can Do This," it'd be called "Girl, You're Doing This."
Absolutely.
But with that being shared, you're the president of the Central Ohio Young Black Democrats, and you're also the first female to hold that office. Does that distinction weigh in your leadership and your workshops and the consults?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was on another panel previously, and I was like, because they were like, being the first woman, is that hard? And I would say, yeah, but I think coming into the position that I've come into and politically, I think it's hard because I came against a lot of opposition, right? A lot of people, not sure if I would be able to deliver because they hadn't been around me long enough to know what I had been through or the things that I had done. And so I became president of Central Ohio Young Black Democrats because of something that had happened previously. The organization was in turmoil, so to speak. And so I came in to kind of alleviate that and kind of build the organization back up. But because I was in previous leadership positions, I was secretary of the Ohio Young Black Democrats. So that's over all 5 chapters. And then I was a membership chair of the Central Ohio Young Black Dems previously. But I said all that to say is because of those positions and not seeing me in other spaces, people weren't sure. because I didn't come from, oh, I have a bachelor's from so-and-so, and I didn't know our congresswoman, just all those type of things. I didn't think that people had the faith in me. And so how I start with my leadership, conferences and my consultations is really coming from a place of being underestimated and showing people how to lead while you're being underestimated, and also teaching you how to lead an organization while you're in disarray, or while it's in disarray, and having to build that organization back up. Not to toot my own horn, but the organization, they didn't trust us. And so I had to rebuild trust. I had to shake hands, and I don't want to say kiss butt, but I had to shake a lot of hands, put it that way. To really bring, our validity back to that organization. So my journey in doing all that is what helps me to have leadership conferences, and what helps me to be able to consult other men and women to say, hey, look, I've been there, I understand. And politics is a really different game anyway. And so that's why I call myself the political and lifestyle strategist. So yeah, obviously the main point is politics and things like that. But the other thing is people are drawn to me for just being who I am. And so that's where the lifestyle comes from, to say, okay, so you don't want to talk about politics, but you want to talk about leadership. How can I help you?
Okay.
Right. Passionately stated. Thank you so much.
For sure. And so, thinking about that as a backdrop, as a young Black Democrat, we have an election in 97 days, a midterm election in 97 days. We have obviously a big election, after that, right, in a couple more years. I am curious though, like, what do you as a leader and your organization, Young Black Democrats, what do they look for, or what strategies do they sort of engage in when they go about recruiting and vetting talent to sort of, jump out there and run for office?
So that's a good question. Because I had to give you a backstory as best as I can. So the reason why the organization initially was in disarray was because, I'm going to be honest, open and honest, was because of endorsement process and who we wanted to support and who we wanted to go to the front. And so when I became president, I had to come in and make an executive decision to say, are we going to endorse or are we going to support? With being a Black organization, if you endorse somebody, or you want to, if you endorse somebody, you want to endorse who you feel will be best for the Black community, Black and brown communities. And so because that was a problem with our higher ups, I have made a decision to say, okay, we're not going to endorse, but don't expect even support for people that we don't support. So no, we're not going to go against the party like previously. We're not going to do that, but don't expect us to knock for certain candidates or do certain things for certain candidates that we don't feel that we align with.
Yes. Unapologetic.
Yeah. And so it's like, I had to make that distinction. I had to make that decision to say, I can't ruin what I built back up. Because I know if we won't endorse the people that you want us to endorse. Not all of them. Maybe some of them, 80% of them, but not all of them. And so we moved out of a space of endorsement. And so when we talk about getting people ready for a run for office, so it's like, we won't say, oh, we want to run this candidate, but if you want to run for office, you probably need to join our organization, especially if you're an African-American person, because a lot of times when people run for office, they're not really clear about politics, and they might know like your basics, your executive, your legislative, they might know the basics, but they don't really know the ins and outs. And being part of our organization, that is where you'll learn, okay, so you probably don't want to do this, or you probably don't want, but you should do this. And so that's kind of where we come from as it relates to candidates. No, we won't endorse you, but if you want to know the ins and outs, it's important that you join our organization so that you can learn. But what we have been on, especially this year, is really focusing on the issues. And focusing on voter registration. So tomorrow, I believe we're going to do something with Reach Training to talk about, but to reach out to our constituents and get them involved in making sure that they have their absentees and stuff like that. But now we're focusing on the issues. We just gave testimony to city council. Probably about a month ago, we met with close to 20 elected officials. And we said, hey, look, what we want to know is what you're doing for African-American communities and what commitment can you make to us? So we're really just kind of letting people know that we're here. And if you're already in position, we want to know what you're doing for us. So that's kind of where we are with that.
Right. Now that's important work. I mean, that's holding leadership accountable, holding those who want your vote, putting their feet to the proverbial fire, ensuring that, career politicians aren't taking you for granted, understanding that the lives of young Democrats, but, in your case, with the lives of young people and the desires and needs of young people, have to be paid attention to. This isn't a cookie cutter thing, right? Where you're, and God bless Mike DeWine, but I mean, you're 70-something years old, homie, you know what I'm saying? And if you ain't paid attention, you still playing tic-tac-toe and we out here tic-tacking, you know what I'm saying? And you don't know what the hell going on, right? And so the reality is that, your organization and organizations like you are basically making sure that people who are seeking office and people who are running for office come see you, right? Come holler at you.
Absolutely.
And I'm just curious. I'm just curious about something. Let's say, for instance, I was to call you and say, look, I want a meeting with you all. I don't know what's going on with Julius Bailey, but I say I want to come to you, and not just Julius Bailey, but somebody wants to come to you, and they say, listen, I want the Central Ohio Young Black Democrats, Young Democrats, to sort of work with me, or I want to work with them. What's that process? What do they need to come do?
So I did have that scenario just as you said it, just verbatim as you said it, and we'll just leave that there. But just like that, and I had the honest conversation to say, hey, look, we are staying out of this, but this is what we do, and if you want to help us, then help, you can help us. This is not, I'm not picking sides. I'm not choosing anybody over anybody. But if you want me to hear, my job is to talk to you. My job is, if you want to run for office and you want to talk to me, that is my job. And to give you my honest advice. As president of the Central Ohio Young Black Dems, I will say that is my job. And that is what I did in that particular situation. I was sought out. And the young lady wanted to talk about what she wanted. And I said, okay, we'll meet, we'll talk about it, and I'll give you my sound advice. As far as our organization, this is what we do. You want to help us? We're not going to exclude you from pictures. We're not going to not talk to you. If you want to come help us do voter registration, if you want to help us talk about the issues, if you want to do certain things, absolutely. But when it comes down to, because you've been helping our organization and feeling like you deserve our endorsement, I can't do that because I can't even endorse the other person.
Gotcha.
So it's tough, but I have had that situation exactly how you said it previously.
Right. So even though you're not endorsing, I mean, obviously you're promoting this coming election. You're registering folk to vote. They're down there in Franklin County. And in the city of Columbus, what's going on? Who's running? Who should we be thinking about? Who should we be paying attention to?
So if you know anything about me, my best friend, Mr. Dontavius Jarrells, is running for House District 25. And that is in the district that I grew up in, born and raised. And so he comes from Cleveland, Ohio, the Hoff community. And he was president of the Ohio Young Black Democrats. He is chair of Young Black Democrats of America. He is communications for Franklin County Treasurer. He is just a servant to his core. And I seen him work, and not only have I seen him work, I work alongside him, and a lot of what I know and a lot of what I do comes from his leadership. And so I think that he will serve that demographic and that district well. And so I am so proud for his race. He did obviously he did win the Democratic primary. He does have the general, coming up here in November, but I believe that he will be fine. So that is my number one go-to. Second person, I think you may know her, Representative Erica C. Crawley. That is my representative that I live in her district now. Phenomenal woman, mother of twins, military veteran, just a bad Black woman. And I'm super excited and well pleased with what she's doing in our district and what she has done. For me, also, Mike Mental, I don't know if you know him. He is running for judge. I do serve as his treasurer as well as Erica's treasurer, and I'm super excited of what he's going to do for the appeals court. He was city council president many years ago, and just a phenomenal person. So super excited for him. There's a lot of other people running, but I am honest about who I support and how I support them, and my support does not just go to everybody, but those are the top three.
Thank you. Now, that's important, and we'll certainly keep our eye on those races. We will certainly personally make shout outs as whoever it is that want to listen to me. I'll let them know that these are important races, important people who are who have been vetted and who have proven themselves as committed leaders especially within Black communities, but more so that are certainly concerned about Ohio as a whole. And, and we just, we celebrate you, certainly we know that being a woman in politics, first of all, is not an easy process, even though we talk about, the year of the woman twice now, I guess, in electing on a national level, we still have to get through, as you say, the party mess, right? You got to get through the funk and the filth and the dirt of just older folk, not sure what the young folk got to say, right? Always want to keep you in your place and that kind of thing. And I'm just here to tell people on this show today and on Friday that, the younger folk are coming in loud, focused, energized, done their homework, and they're not here for the BS. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't just gonna get us out here working these streets and paving the streets just to get you elected, and you don't give a damn about us.
Absolutely.
Right? We ain't gonna do that, right? That day is over, right? We shall overcome. No, I'm gonna overcome. Me and my people, we're about to overcome. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're gonna do. So the reality is, we thank you, Sister Latina. We thank you and all of those like you, like Brother Carson earlier. We're just excited about you. Like I say, your book, again, is Girl. I probably ain't saying it right. But girl, you can do this. Because I did, right? And that can be found on your website. Why don't you give people your information to contact you?
So my website is www.latinamhumphrey.com. My Instagram is at Latina M. Humphrey, LLC. Everything, LinkedIn, Latina M. Humphrey. So if you want to follow me, if you want to contact me, Latina M. Humphrey on everything. So
and the M is magnificent, right?
Look, a magnificent or Marie, whichever one you want.
Marie. Thank you, sister. Thank you for joining us today on Straight No Chaser. Ladies and gentlemen, we have had the privilege to listen to and engage with Sister Latina M as Marie, but I call her Magnanimous Humphreys. Please check her out there in Franklin County in Columbus, Ohio. Somewhere where you're watching this show, there is a Latina Humphreys. There is a Reverend Courtney Carson. If you're watching this show, you need to support them. You need to sit down, have lunch with them, take them to Starbucks, give them a latte grande, and let them know that, listen, what are your needs? I want to support you. Don't come at them like, well, I've been in this game for 30 years. I know what you need. No. Show me a TikTok video before you holler at me. What's your Twitter handle? What's your Snapchat name? Yeah. If you ain't got that, then I want your information. I want your sage advice. But it may be time for you to move over and let others kind of continue. And so wherever you are across the country, pay attention to your young leadership. Don't ignore them. Encourage them. Support them. We here at Straight No Chaser We raised our drink to that segment because we're running a little bit late. We just want to move right into it. Our drink to that segment today, which is right now still unsponsored. Listen, I keep telling y'all that. I ain't got no sponsor for this segment. I need y'all to come through. Don't play with me. Y'all know I need some money. Y'all need to tell me, Doc, what do you need? I already on another side. I got 2 people that called me that they want to give to that 2020-22 thing.
Okay.
Already. Like, I'm like, well, ain't nothing to give to yet. You know what I'm saying? But I need you to give the Straight No Chaser. That's right here, right? So if you're a sponsor of your business, your organization, and you want to just say, hey, you want your name shouted out twice a week or 15 shows, but we'll shout you out every time we drink to that. But for right now, for all young Black leaders across the country, for all leaders across the country, whether you're working on behalf of immigration, if you're working on behalf of gender rights, if you're working on behalf of LGBTQI stuff, if you're working on behalf of labor rights, whatever it is that you're working on, if you're serious about the work, if you, as Sister Latina said, if you are operating out of authenticity,
Please.
you're going to reach our authentic selves. If this is you, on behalf of Straight No Chaser, me and Miss Tisa, we're going to drink today. So listen, today is Wednesday. It is our Friday here at Straight No Chaser. We thank you for coming. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, we have a special episode Friday.
Yeah.
It's a part 2 of this leadership series, Young Leadership Series. So join us Friday as we host Miss Asia Gibbs from the Dayton, Ohio area, and 2 local leaders in Henry Alexander and Dorian Hunter. We also have a special video. I mean, it's out there already, but we talk a little bit about our brother Tavon, right?
Yes.
Tavon Stevens, right? His video, we're going to talk about that. Those of you know him, he is the nephew of John Stevens, right? Who is the most handsome person in the world, according to what Time Magazine or whatever. But y'all know John Legend. This is his nephew from this area. We give him a shout out on Friday too. So listen, thank you for joining us at Straight No Chaser. If you've enjoyed this show, please make sure you tag it, pass it on. You like us on Facebook at Straight No Chaser with Dr. Bailey. We're also on YouTube at Dr. Julius Bailey. Thank you for coming out. Have a phenomenal week. And as we always say, peace.